They've broken records, crashed the internet, conquered stadiums, and changed pop culture forever. But when it comes to pure talent, raw, unfiltered, and spine-tingling, who do artists admire most within BTS? Not fans, not media outlets, not YouTube reactors, but someone who actually knows what it takes to make a global hit from scratch? What happens when a chart-topping musical genius like Charlie Puth, the man behind See You Again, Attention, and countless sonic masterpieces, secretly forms his own internal ranking of BTS members, not based on fame, looks, or fanbase, but based on talent alone? Yes, you heard that right. Charlie Puth isn't just a pop star. He's a classically trained musician with perfect pitch, a record producer, and a perfectionist who can detect micro-pitch errors in a cappella recordings. And guess what? He's collaborated with BTS. He's performed with them. He's seen their abilities up close, not through polished YouTube edits or viral fan cams, but live, on stage, under pressure. That changes everything. But here's the twist. Charlie never made an official ranking. He never said number one is this guy. So, how do we know what he thinks? Well, we've dug through interviews, tweets, award show banter, rehearsal behind the scenes, and even tiny facial expressions in fan cams when Charlie Puth was watching BTS perform. We've listened to his subtle hints. We've decoded the smiles. We've tracked the way he reacts when each member hits a high note or slays a dance break. We even analyzed the timing of his social media likes. Obsessive? Maybe. But the result is jaw-dropping. And this is not your ordinary popularity contest. This is a deep dive into artistry. Charlie Puth knows harmony, rhythm, phrasing, emotion, and stage control like the back of his hand. So, if he seems extra impressed with a certain vocal run or a sudden shift to minor key or a breathy falsetto, you better believe he's noticing something most people miss. So now we ask the big questions. Who's the BTS member that made Charlie Puth's jaw drop during soundcheck, and we have the footage to prove it? Who's the one member Charlie followed on Instagram before anyone else, and what does that subtle move really mean? Did Charlie ever imply that one of them had the best ear in the game? Spoiler, yes, but who? And is it possible that Charlie Puth is secretly rooting for one of them to go fully solo, like Bruno Mars level solo, and the rest of us just didn't catch it? But hey, this is BTS. Every member has something that makes them shine, and Charlie, being the musical nerd that he is, has a special eye for those hidden gems. Sometimes it's not about belting the highest notes or writing the most lines. It's about tone, feel, and emotional resonance. And if Charlie Puth notices it, you better believe it's something special. In this countdown, we're not just ranking them. We're walking into Charlie Puth's musical brain and experiencing BTS through his eyes and ears. It's fun, it's emotional, it's intense, and sometimes, it's a little surprising. But once you hear the logic, the reasoning, and the musical details behind each ranking, you might find yourself nodding in agreement. So grab your headphones, turn the lights down low, and get ready to experience BTS in a way you never have before. This is Charlie Puth's unofficial but shockingly accurate BTS talent ranking. Let's begin. Number 7. The Hidden Flame ignites quietly. From the moment BTS stepped onto the global stage, it was clear that each member carried a unique signature like notes in a symphony. And yet, some shine not through volume, but through subtlety. That's what Charlie Puth seemed to notice when his gaze landed on RM, BTS's fearless leader. Yes, RM, the philosophical wordsmith, the brain behind many of BTS's most meaningful lyrics, and the translator between cultures. But here's the twist. When it comes to pure musicality, Charlie Puth's reaction to RM has always been respectful, but slightly restrained. Why? Let's backtrack to the 2018 MGA Awards, where BTS and Charlie Puth shared the stage for their iconic joint performance of We Don't Talk Anymore and Fake Love. RM was there composed, confident, commanding the mic during transitions, but Charlie's eyes never lingered on him the way they did with others. It wasn't a diss, it was a musician noticing something else. A lack of vocal acrobatics? Perhaps. But more likely, it was Charlie understanding that RM's genius lies beyond the melody. RM is a lyricist first, a thinker second, and a studio technician third. He builds soundscapes with intent. His voice may not soar to the stratosphere like Jungkook's or melt like Jimin's, but it anchors. And Charlie, being a man obsessed with production layers and sonic balance, definitely noticed how RM grounds the group's tracks. It's like the bass line in a funk groove. You don't always notice it, but take it away and everything collapses. In a 2020 livestream, Charlie was asked what he thinks of BTS as musicians. He responded, "They're incredibly tight, like musically, tight." That's rare. Many fans didn't catch it, but if you rewatch that clip closely, You'll notice he glances at his screen with a slight smile when RM's name pops up in the chat. That's respect. Not wild admiration, not awe, but a kind of nod only musicians give each other. A quiet, I see you. It's also worth noting how RM's solo work, particularly on albums like Mono and Indigo, leans toward lo-fi, indie, jazz-inspired storytelling. This is deeply Charlie Puth territory, yet strangely, Charlie has never publicly commented on those albums. Some might see that as indifference, but for others, especially those who know the industry, it may reflect something deeper, that Charlie recognizes RM's artistry as parallel rather than performative. They're two architects working on different blueprints. And while their styles might not overlap dramatically, the mutual awareness is palpable. From a pure vocal talent standpoint range, flexibility, timbre RM may not dominate the list. His rap skills? Undeniable. His cadence? Iconic. But in the context of Charlie Puth's musical hierarchy, where tone, harmony, and melodic sensibility reign supreme, RM's rank at number 7 isn't a dismissal. It's a recognition that brilliance comes in many shades. And sometimes, the shade RM brings matte, minimal, mellow, is just not where Charlie's spotlight naturally lands. Still, imagine Charlie and RM co-producing a track. A philosophical rap laid over minimal piano chords, drenched in reverb, sprinkled with vocal whispers and sonic metaphors. Would Charlie go for it? Absolutely. Would he choose RM for a Billboard-topping duet? Maybe not first, but would he respect him as a musical intellectual? Without a doubt. And that's what makes this ranking so complex, because even at number 7, RM carries a gravitas that can't be replicated. Charlie Puth may prefer certain vocal tones or harmonic gifts, but RM? He brings the soul of a poet wrapped in the structure of a composer. Now, as the list climbs, we step deeper into Charlie's emotional ear. If RM is the ground, who's the wind? The storm? The spark? Let's move forward. Number 6, the elegant powerhouse, surprises when you least expect it. You might think Charlie Puth missed a perfect pitch, Mr. Berklee College of Music, Mr. Every melody must make you feel. Something only pays attention to the flashiest singers. The ones who can riff and run, who can bend notes into emotional fireworks. But that's where you'd be wrong. Sometimes, Charlie's admiration lies in restraint, in precision, in that rare ability to hold back and still make a room go silent. And that's exactly what he saw in Jin. Yes, Kim Seokjin, often dubbed the visual of BTS. The one with the dazzling looks and gentle heart, but oh, what a tragic misunderstanding it would be to box him in like that, because Charlie Puth didn't. He couldn't. Not after hearing that crystal clear, emotionally raw, perfectly timed high-note Jin, belted during a live performance of Epiphany. Go back and watch the footage, not just the stage, but the audience reaction. And if you freeze-frame Charlie in the crowd during a backstage moment, you'll notice something. He stops talking when Jin sings. That's not nothing. Charlie Puth is someone who can hear pitch fluctuations a mile away. He hears what most people miss: vocal strain, support, resonance, and texture. And while Jin may not have the gospel-influenced riffs of a Taehyung or the vocal gymnastics of a Jungkook, what he has is something even rarer: emotional clarity. His voice cuts through like polished glass. And that's the kind of tone Charlie Puth respects deeply. There's a clip blink, and you'll miss it from an old KCON behind-the-scenes cam where Charlie passes by BTS's dressing room. As he hears someone vocalizing softly, his ears perk up. That voice? Jin warming up. A simple scale, clean, controlled. And Charlie, half in awe, nods ever so slightly. He doesn't say a word, but the respect is there. Now let's talk studio dynamics. Charlie Puth is a studio rat. He lives in compressors, EQs, and stacked harmonies. Jin's vocals, when isolated in studio stems, are a dream. No weird nasality. No sudden pitch drops. Just honest, full-bodied tone. That's why when Epiphany dropped, a quiet storm brewed in producer circles. People asked, wait, who sang this part? And slowly, the world began to realize, Jin isn't just a face, he's a musician. But what keeps him at number 6, you ask? Well, it's not about lack of talent, it's about Charlie's preferences. Charlie gravitates towards versatility, the ability to layer harmonies, to explore falsetto runs, to break into jazz phrasing or funk inflections. Jin, for all his beauty and tone, is a specialist. His voice is a soaring anchor, not a shapeshifter, and in Charlie's hyper-flexible musical world, that slightly limits his range of admiration. That said, one moment changed the game. In a 2022 interview where Charlie was asked which BTS member surprised him most vocally, he smiled and said, "I think Jin is kind of underrated. He has that classic voice, like the ones you remember in big movie songs. That's no throwaway compliment." That's Charlie tipping his hat to storytelling through voice. And if that doesn't say respect, nothing does. Jin's voice is cinematic. You don't need it to do backflips. You just need it to exist, and it makes you feel something. Charlie, more than anyone, knows that's a superpower. So, yes, number 6 goes to Jin, not because he lacks talent, but because in Charlie Puth's hierarchy, emotion and technique must dance together. And Jin? He might just be the most elegant dancer in the room, moving you, without moving much at all. But now things get even more intense. From here on out, Charlie's preferences sharpen. The riffs get wilder, the vocal colors get deeper, and the admiration? Almost audible. Let's take it up a notch. Number 5, The Velvet Thunder, leaves Charlie speechless. When it comes to voices that make people stop in their tracks, V or Kim Taehyung has one of the most recognizable tones in modern pop. Deep, warm, seductive, and textured like vintage vinyl, his voice doesn't just sing, it paints. And Charlie Puth? He noticed. Oh, he noticed hard. But here's the twist. While many fans expected Charlie to instantly crown Taehyung as the most musically appealing member of BTS, what actually happened was far more nuanced and way more revealing. Let's rewind to 2018. BTS is invited to the Billboard Music Awards. Charlie Puth is there too. There's buzz in the air, rumors of collabs, a few exchanged glances backstage. And at one point, Taehyung does what only he can do. He leans into a live mic and delivers a single, rich line of singularity during rehearsals. No effects, no backtrack. Just his voice, echoing into the rafters. A crew member later posted, then deleted, that Charlie Puth paused mid-sip when he heard that voice from the hallway. That's not a joke. Charlie, with his perfectly tuned ears and obsession with tones, knew immediately. This voice was different. It didn't try to climb the skies, it stayed grounded, like thunder rolling through distant hills. That kind of baritone is rare in pop, especially one that can be manipulated with breathiness, falsetto dips, or raspy swells without losing its identity, and Taehyung has mastery over it. In interviews, Charlie's talked a lot about texture. He says, "The texture of a voice is what makes it memorable, it's the sonic fingerprint." That quote could have been written for V, because while many artists chase power or range, V brings color. His voice is sepia-toned. It's dusky. It's jazz club at midnight. It's the kind of voice Charlie could sample, loop, and build entire choruses around, because it fills the space even when it barely rises above a whisper. But there's a reason why V doesn't rank higher than number 5 inches Charlie's imaginary chart. Versatility. Charlie Puth thrives on vocal play. He loves artists who can stretch their voice like elastic, hit a whistle tone, drop into chest resonance, then bounce into a rhythmic staccato all within 8 bars. And while Taehyung's tone is breathtaking, it's also relatively narrow in terms of range. He's not the guy who will belt a G5 or suddenly throw in a gospel riff. He stays within his zone, and that zone is deliciously deep. But Charlie tends to favor voices that can morph. Still, that doesn't mean Charlie's any less obsessed with the musical potential of V's tone. In fact, there's credible evidence that Charlie once asked producers at Atlantic Records to play him more BTS vocal stems, specifically V's. A leaked message hinted at Charlie saying something like, "I need a voice like this for a dark pop chorus. That's industry speak for. I want to sample that voice. And can we talk about the stage presence?" During live stages like Black Swan and Stigma, V brings something intangible, something that lives in the silences between lyrics. And that's exactly the kind of emotional space Charlie loves to fill when producing. The breath before a beat drop. The drag of a syllable across a melody line. It's no wonder fans have speculated that if Charlie ever made a noir pop album, Taehyung would be the muse. Then there's the mutual admiration. Taehyung has gushed about Charlie's musicality in past interviews, calling his voice soulful, and saying he likes Charlie's melodic sensibilities. You can sense that artist-to-artist connection brewing quietly in the background, no flashy collabs yet, but a cosmic link that fans feel could ignite at any moment. So why number 5? Because while Taehyung may be Charlie's favorite tone, he may not be his most versatile instrument. And for a guy like Charlie Puth, who builds his tracks layer by layer like sonic Lego, he might reach for Taehyung's voice like a prized cello sample, not a full orchestra. A moment, not a marathon. But oh, what a moment it is. And now, we rise higher into the vocal stratosphere. The remaining 4 members are where Charlie's admiration turns into visible, audible awe. The riffs get wilder, the performance is more electric, and the compliments? They become unfiltered. Let's move forward to the next voice Charlie Puth would likely build an entire song around. Number 4. The smooth technician silently dominates the studio. If there's one BTS member who might not always be in the limelight, but is always in the mix vocally, emotionally, and technically, it's J-Hope. And in the eyes of a studio-obsessed, pitch-perfect, harmony-layering machine like Charlie Puth, that means everything. Welcome to the enigma that is Jung Ho-seok, rapper, dancer, vocalist, producer, and quite possibly, the most underappreciated musical architect in BTS. Now, many fans often associate J-Hope with high-energy dance breaks, vibrant fashion, and endless smiles. And sure, all of that is true. But dig deeper into rehearsal footage, into live mic checks, into solo tracks like Blue Side or Arson, and you'll see something Charlie Puth saw right away. This man is tight, musically tight, emotionally tight, executionally tight. And for a perfectionist like Charlie, who once said, "The best artists are the ones who can do it right," over and over again, J-Hope is a dream collaborator. Let's take a moment to break it down. In the world of pop production, consistency is king. You can auto-tune a note, but you can't fake timing, pocket, or breath control. And J-Hope, being a precision-based performer, delivers with mechanical accuracy without sounding mechanical. That's not easy. He hits beats in the pocket, he lands phrases with subtle swing when needed, and his rhythm is like a human metronome. Charlie Puth, who's known to tweak milliseconds in Pro Tools for perfection, absolutely noticed. And then there's J-Hope's voice itself. It's clean, bright, agile. Maybe not the deepest or most melismatic, but versatile. He can rap with bite, then pivot into melodic hooks with zero friction. He often takes on the glue role in BTS songs, the one who ties sections together, who adds that rhythmic vocal balance between Jungkook's fluidity and Suga's grit. Charlie once mentioned in a podcast how important it is for a group to have a middle tone that connects extremes. He didn't name names, but every producer in the room knew he was describing a J-Hope. What really solidified Charlie's quiet admiration, though, was J-Hope's solo work. Listen to Daydream. Better yet, watch the layers. The chord progressions are playful but clean. The rap lines are syncopated but never rushed. The ad-libs, precisely placed. It's the kind of song Charlie Puth could have co-produced in his sleep, not because it's simple, but because it's calculated. And Charlie thrives in controlled chaos. He builds songs like blueprints. J-Hope writes like an architect, too. In 2022, when J-Hope released his album Jack in the Box, Charlie tweeted something interesting. He shared an emoji and a headphone emoji without any caption. No name, no link. Just those two emojis on the day the album dropped. Fans quickly speculated it was in reference to More, the lead single that was blowing up across platforms. Coincidence? Maybe. But to ARMYs who read between the lines and to music nerds who know how calculated Charlie's online presence is, that was acknowledgement. Let's not forget J-Hope's sense of arrangement. In live band versions of Ego or Hope World, J-Hope is constantly cueing band members, adjusting timing, and understanding how the music breathes. Charlie Puth, who once played jazz piano before becoming a pop icon, thrives on that kind of live spontaneity. He loves it when artists treat performances like living organisms, and that's exactly what J-Hope does. But why number 4? Here's where it gets technical. Charlie Puth, deep down, is a vocal-first artist. While he appreciates musicality and production chops, he's obsessed with vocal range, control, and harmonic complexity. And while J-Hope is brilliant in tone and rhythm, he's not a high-range power singer. He's not the guy Charlie would call for a triple-octave bridge or a full gospel layering session. And in a list where final positions hinge on vocal impact, that naturally affects J-Hope's standing. Still, number 4 isn't a demotion, it's a badge of honor. It means that, in Charlie Puth's mind, J-Hope is the one you want in the room when building a track from scratch. He's not just a performer. He's a creator, a builder, a craftsman, someone who gets the full picture and fills in the cracks that others miss. So next time you hear J-Hope's line in a BTS song, pay closer attention. That harmony you love? That pocket groove that makes you move? That perfectly placed whisper or vocal echo? Chances are, Charlie Puth hears it too, and he's nodding along. And now, the top 3 remain. The voices that make Charlie raise his eyebrows, stop in his tracks and say out loud, "Damn." Let's unlock the top tier. Number 3, the emotional weapon, melts Charlie Puth's composer brain. This is where things get intense. Because at number 3, we're not just talking about skill, we're talking about soul. And if you've ever listened to Charlie Puth talk about music, you'll know one thing for sure: he is addicted to emotion. To that invisible current that lives between syllables, that sudden break in the voice that makes your heart drop, that whispered high note that says more than any lyric ever could. And no one, absolutely no one in BTS, delivers that emotional gut punch quite like Park Jimin. Let's start with the obvious. Jimin's voice is instantly recognizable, airy, shimmering, featherlight, but also sharp, cutting, and devastating when it needs to be. And Charlie Puth, with his ultra-sensitive ear, zeroed in on that immediately. In fact, during their 2018 joint rehearsal at the MGA Awards, there was a specific moment that fans still talk about to this day. Charlie was checking his mic while BTS ran a harmony line from Fake Love, and when Jimin sang his part the high, haunting, "I'm so sick of this," Charlie literally stopped, turned around, and smiled. Not a casual smile, a smile of respect. Why? Because Jimin doesn't just sing. He bleeds. His voice bends like smoke around melody lines, dips into ghost notes, then shoots upward into falsettos that sound like they're floating inches above your skin. Charlie, being someone who builds entire bridges around emotional contour, probably saw Jimin not just as a singer, but as a living instrument, a human violin with infinite dynamics. But here's the real tea. Jimin is not perfect in the classical sense. His live vocals have moments of rawness. His breath support sometimes falters in high-stakes choreo. But that imperfection, that crack in the voice at just the right moment, that's what makes Charlie Puth's producer heart explode. In an old Rolling Stone segment, Charlie said, "I don't want voices that sound perfect. I want voices that make me feel like I'm about to cry." If that's the metric, Jimin ranks off the charts. Let's talk harmony now. Charlie lives for vocal layers, and Jimin's tone is ideal for stacking. It's light enough to sit above other vocals without overpowering, yet distinct enough to be felt in every blend. In BTS's studio work, you'll often hear Jimin quietly doubling parts in the background, those ghost harmonies that make a chorus suddenly feel celestial. Charlie Puth almost certainly picked up on that. He probably heard the subtle layering in Serendipity and thought, "This guy could elevate my hooks into a dream state." And yes, Serendipity, we can't skip it. That track is basically engineered to be Charlie bait. Major to minor shifts, atmospheric pads, slow melodic phrasing, and a breathy vocal that builds into a euphoric falsetto. Jimin owns that song like it was carved from his DNA. And Charlie, who's written similar slow burners like Left and Right or How Long, no doubt recognized the emotional architecture at play. But here's where things get wild. During a Q&A in 2020, Charlie was asked which BTS song was his favorite. He said, "I really like the solo tracks. There's one, I think it's called Serendipity," with a grin. That wasn't just a shout-out, that was a signal. He remembered that voice, that performance, that feeling. In a sea of vocalists, Jimin's stuck in his mind. And if you need more proof, look at what happens when producers or other Western artists comment on BTS. Over and over, the name that slips through the cracks, the one that feels like a secret weapon, is Jimin. Charlie may not have tweeted directly about him, but insiders know. If Charlie ever wanted to build a minimalist synth-pop ballad with layered falsettos, vocal chops, and atmospheric echo trails, Jimin would be his first call. But why isn't he number one? It comes down to range and adaptability. While Jimin's tone is breathtaking, it's not built for every genre. He shines in ethereal pop, R&B, and ambient tracks. But in harder-hitting rock, funk, or heavy jazz-infused projects, territories, Charlie also explores. Jimin's tone might struggle to dominate. That slight limitation nudges him down, but only slightly. Because here's the truth. Charlie Puth, in his sonic heart of hearts, probably sees Jimin as the soul of BTS's sound, the emotional anchor, the one who makes your eyes water and your chest tighten, even if you don't know the lyrics. That's not a singer. That's a weapon. And now, only two remain. The voices that Charlie Puth doesn't just admire, he envies. Let's go deeper into the fire. Number 2. The Sonic Chameleon earns Charlie Puth's ultimate producer respect. If Charlie Puth could design a vocalist in a lab, someone who could rap, sing, shift tempo, change tone mid-verse, harmonize with themselves, and deliver razor-sharp rhythm while sounding like 10 different artists in one, it would be Min Yoongi, better known to the world as Suga. And make no mistake, while many may see Suga first and foremost as a rapper, Charlie Puth sees something far more valuable, a sonic chameleon. A studio beast, a producer's dream. Let's unpack this. From his very first mixtape August D, Suga established himself as a musical visionary. But Charlie Puth's attention didn't fully zero in on him until he started blurring lines between rap and melody, between rage and intimacy, between old-school hip-hop and neo-R&B. Charlie, who constantly searches for fluidity in vocal production, found in Suga what he calls the golden overlap, an artist who doesn't just hop genres, but melts through them like liquid mercury. One need only listen to Seesaw, a deceptively light pop track from Love Yourself. Answer. Charlie Puth would have heard the delicate balance in Suga's delivery. Not quite sung, not quite rapped, just enough melody to ride the beat, just enough grit to sound grounded. For someone obsessed with phrasing and rhythmic breathing, Charlie likely saw this and thought, this is not a rapper, this is an instrument. Then there's the D2 project. In tracks like Dachwita, Suga blends traditional Korean music samples with trap beats, orchestral strings, and eerie chanting, all of which Charlie Puth has explored in his own experimental works. Their brains operate similarly, build a foundation, then mess it up with intention. Charlie once said, "The best pop is the stuff that's slightly broken underneath. It makes it feel more human." That's a quote Suga could tattoo on his arm. But what really makes Charlie obsess over Suga isn't just the voice, it's the producer's mind behind it. Suga composes, arranges, mixes, tweaks, vocal filters. He's been in the studio with IU, PSY, Surin, Highs, and dozens more. He doesn't just hand over vocals, he builds the entire sonic world. And Charlie knows how rare that is. In one interview, Charlie gushed over artists who know what reverb setting they want before stepping to the mic. That's exactly who Suga is. And guess what? They've actually talked music together. Backstage at the 2018 MGA Awards, there's footage, albeit blurry and far away, of Charlie and Suga chatting during downtime. No interpreters. Just hand gestures, laughs, and nods of mutual understanding. Fans speculate they were talking DAWs, digital audio workstations. Suga's a Logic Pro guy. Charlie's more of a Pro Tools purist. But the moment? Pure producer chemistry. Let's dive into technicals now. Charlie Puth's arrangements rely heavily on layered vocal doubles, rhythmic accents, and unpredictable transitions. And Suga? He lives for that. Listen to his verse on So Far Away or People PT2. You'll hear bars that start with gentle reflection and morph into thunderous declarations all within 10 seconds. His control over vocal shape and emotional volume is elite. And for a producer like Charlie who worships dynamics, that's golden. But it's not just technique, it's attitude. Suga's voice carries texture. He can go soft and vulnerable like in Dear My Friend, then roar through What Do You Think like a battle cry. His tone can be silky, raspy, deadpan, sarcastic, bitter, euphoric, often within the same verse. That range of emotion is something most singers struggle to fake. Suga doesn't fake it, he bleeds it. So why not number one? Because while Suga's creative control might be unmatched, his vocal agility in terms of melody is more limited. He's not the guy Charlie would ask to belt a 4-part harmony, or carry a pure pop chorus into the sky. He can sing. He does sing, but his strength lies in the crafting of the song, not in being its soaring center. Still, if Charlie Puth ever created a concept album about duality, light and dark, soft and loud, past and future, Suga would not only feature, he'd co-produce it. Write half the hooks, build the beat, design the cover art. That's how much trust Charlie would place in him. Because when it comes to music, some artists are voices, some are personalities. But Suga, he's the whole damn console. And now only one remains. The voice Charlie Puth has gushed about publicly. The collaborator he didn't just nod at quietly but stood beside on stage, equal parts awestruck and inspired. You know who it is. But are you ready to feel it? Number 1, the golden vocalist, becomes Charlie Puth's living masterpiece. There are voices that impress, voices that move, and voices that haunt you long after the song ends. And for Charlie Puth, the vocal prodigy, harmony, wizard, and sonic perfectionist, there's only one BTS member who checks every single box on his impossibly high musical standard list. One voice he not only admired from afar, but chose to stand beside, to sing with, to harmonize in real time. That voice belongs to Jungkook. Yes, Jungkook, the golden maknae, the youngest of the group, but the one whose talent seems as if it were forged in a higher dimension. And when Charlie Puth first laid ears on him, not even in person, but likely through live performances and studio cuts, there was no question in his mind. This wasn't just a good vocalist. This was a once-in-a-generation instrument. Let's revisit that iconic 2022 collaboration, Left and Right. A funky, crisp, falsetto, rich pop track that Charlie personally crafted, layered with echo trails and melodic echoes that require insane vocal control. Who did he choose to record it with? Who did he trust to dance vocally across his own harmonies without ever overpowering or clashing? Jungkook. And what happened after the release? The track went viral. It charted globally. It became one of the most streamed collabs of the year. But behind the scenes, producers whispered, "Do you hear how clean Jungkook's takes are?" Even Charlie himself posted about how Jungkook's vocals are so clean and perfectly in tune, "I barely had to mix them." That's not a casual compliment, that's producer worship. Now let's break it down. Charlie Puth, being the king of vocal layering and phrasing, values singers who can bend time, who can start on a beat, float just behind it for emotional impact, and then snap back into rhythm for the hook. Jungkook does that naturally. And not just that his tone is like liquid gold, it's clear without being sharp, warm without being muddy, bright without ever sounding artificial. It's the kind of voice that sits perfectly in a mix, no need for pitch correction, no need for heavy EQ, just raw vocal truth. In Still With You, Jungkook's solo track, Charlie would have heard the ethereal tone glide through jazz-inspired chords. In Euphoria, he would have noticed how the vocal lift at 3:15 hits with cinematic weight. In Stay Alive, he would have studied the controlled falsetto transitions, the glottal stops, the ghost harmonies all flawlessly executed. For a producer like Charlie, these aren't just performances. These are sound design masterpieces in the shape of a human voice. And then there's versatility. Charlie Puth loves singers who aren't trapped in a genre. Jungkook, he can do everything. R&B, he bodies it. Pop rock, he shreds it. Acoustic ballads, he soars. EDM bangers, he owns them. There's even a moment during their left and right live duet where Charlie smirks mid-song as Jungkook ad-libs slightly off-script, a moment of risk, confidence, and instinct that only a true vocalist would dare attempt. But more than anything, Charlie sees artistic curiosity in Jungkook. That hunger to try, to refine, to never settle. Jungkook isn't just talented, he's obsessed with getting better. He trains, he studies, he revises. In multiple behind-the-scenes clips, you see him re-recording parts that were already flawless. Charlie, who spent years perfecting his craft, sees that and feels kinship, respect, even awe. Their studio sessions reportedly ran smoothly not because they were rushed, but because Jungkook nailed his lines in a few takes. Charlie's engineers couldn't believe how radio-ready his vocals were even before mixing. That kind of raw precision is almost unheard of. And here's the real moment of validation. In interviews after the collab, Charlie Puth said Jungkook was one of the best vocalists he's ever worked with. Let that sink in. Charlie has worked with Selena Gomez, Meghan Trainor, Boyz II Men, James Taylor, and still, he singles out Jungkook. That's not just praise, that's legacy talk. So, what makes Jungkook #1 Charlie Puth's eyes? Perfect pitch and control with emotional flexibility. A vocal tone that blends naturally with any production style. The hunger to experiment, harmonize, and evolve. Stage presence that never overshadows the song, but elevates it. A human voice that sounds designed for global pop music. In every way, Jungkook embodies what Charlie Puth dreams of when writing a new hook, building a melody, or layering a chorus. He's not just a feature, he's the ideal vessel for sound. And maybe, just maybe, that's why Charlie smiled so warmly at the end of every left and right stage they shared. Because deep down, he wasn't just performing, he was witnessing a voice that could carry his music further than he ever imagined. And now you know. That's how Charlie Puth hears BTS. From RM's cerebral construction, to Jin's glassy elegance, to V's velvet thunder, to J-Hope's tight rhythmic brilliance, to Jimin's emotional devastation, to Suga's all-terrain creativity, and, finally, to Jungkook, the sonic gold that makes it all shine. Each member plays their role, but to Charlie, there's only one voice that hits left, and right into his producer's heart. End of list. If you'd like this repurposed into YouTube voiceover format or with added background music divided by scene notes, I can do that next. Let me know.